Chapter 28, Evolved Claws. Lucius swiped from range. A discharge of ether burst from his claws, launching a projectile forward. The charging fangling froze. 5 claw-shaped cuts slashed deep into its exoskeleton. The monster collapsed instantly. Vivi blinked. The fangling had been 10 feet away when Lucius struck. His claws never touched it, yet it died. Lucius's claws had gained range. "My evolved form," Lucius said proudly. "It still takes a lot of ether and effort to charge, but it's powerful. I can one-shot fanglings with a clean hit. The claws will evolve again at around 1,000 ether." 1,000 ether. Vivi couldn't believe they were casually discussing such insane numbers. She was already past the 300 ether limit. The stewards would punish her if they found out. "That's powerful," Vivi admitted. "I think your claws outrank my sword now." Lucius grinned. "Then that proves we'll survive deeper. We're growing stronger." "I'm not saying we'll die," Vivi said. "But we've been fighting for hours. I want to rest." "Ah, human problems," Lucius said, crossing his paws. "Tell me, Vivi, how long do you think dungeon runs usually last?" Vivi didn't answer, already preparing herself for another lecture. "Days, weeks, sometimes months. We've been here for mere hours. You're still standing and you still have energy. With each kill, our ether reserves grow. How will we survive in Zand if we don't push ourselves?" "I'm just being cautious," Vivi said. "It's safer to clear monsters around the edges before we rush straight into their lair. We should set up camp where they can't surround us in our sleep." "Monsters don't know what sleep is," Lucius replied. "They aren't smart enough to gather forces while you rest. If they attack, it will be uncoordinated, just like it has been so far. Ether hunters rest in danger. They sleep in places where monsters are common, so their allies can gain more ether defending them." "And who would protect us when we sleep?" Vivi asked. "I will," Lucius said. "I'll slash anything before it reaches you, like this." He charged an attack, ether gathering in his claws, then released it toward the tunnel below. A fangling happened to charge in that very moment. Its head exploded instantly. "See?" Lucius asked as he collected the ether from the corpse. Vivi stared. "You're planning to use me as bait in the middle of a fangling nest, so you can harvest ether from the monsters trying to eat me." "Yes," Lucius said. "I used a similar trick with my old wielder." Vivi rolled her eyes. She could already imagine the nightmares she'd have sleeping here, and those nightmares would be real. But if Lucius truly could protect her, they would gather a huge amount of ether. They were already gaining over 50 ether per hour. Deeper in, they could double or triple that, at the cost of risking their lives. "I don't know if I can follow your sleeping strategy," Vivi said. "But you're right. We need to go deeper, and we'll be farther from the blue cloaks down there." Lucius grinned and slipped back into Vivi's core. "You'll need to learn how to use the ranged claws. For the next fangling, I'll leave everything to you." "You mean you won't protect me?" "Protecting you would be inconvenient," Lucius said. "I need to focus on offense." A fangling, footsteps echoed from below. Vivi's nails shifted into claws. Ether gathered in her fingers like burning pressure. Concentrated ether always wanted release. The claws glowed red. The fangling appeared. "Go," Lucius ordered. Vivi swiped. Ether blasted forward, releasing the pressure. The claws carried more force than a trained guardsman's sword. The fangling's left arm was severed cleanly. She had missed the rest. "Block," Lucius shouted. The fangling lunged with its remaining arm. Vivi panicked but managed to block with her sword. Ether gathered again in her left hand. Charging took 2 seconds, 2 very long seconds in combat. The fangling lunged with venomous fangs. Vivi released her attack. Ether ripped through the monster, tearing it apart before the fangs could reach her. "Geez," Lucius said. "You scared me. Did you actually miss?" Vivi stared at the corpse. The fangs had been inches from her throat. "Sorry." Lucius sighed. You're becoming a fighter slowly, but we need more practice and more ether. Practice and ether, Vivi, let's go. By practice, Lucius meant descending deeper to fight stronger monsters. True fangling territory stretched below. Their lair was marked by silk-like webs. At first, thin strands lined the ceiling. Deeper in, the webs thickened until entire rooms were covered. Vivi hadn't expected fanglings to use webs, but she quickly realized why. Their nimble limbs didn't stick, and they could maneuver through the webs like an obstacle course. Invaders, however, would get trapped. Fortunately, Lucius's evolved claws tore through webs easily. One swipe cleared entire clusters. Still, the attacks consumed a lot of ether. A fully charged claw took more than 20 wisps, which wouldn't regenerate until the next day. Vivi used her sword first, saving the claws for emergencies or multi-kills. Fangling ambushes grew more frequent. Sometimes she had to fight 5 or 6 at once, but the evolved claws made it manageable. Lucius's reserve hit 500, then 600, double the allowed limit. It feels too quiet, Vivi thought. We're deep in their territory. Why aren't they defending? Fanglings are ether reanimated, Lucius said. Not coordinated. A queen or a boss can send them into reckless charges. They only react to action near them. Sure, Vivi thought. She still cleared every corner, making sure they weren't surrounded. As the webs grew thicker, Vivi entered a large chamber. She stepped carefully. No ambush came. She narrowed her eyes. Something stood at the back of the cave, a huge, motionless shape blocking the downward path. Its shadow covered the room. Lucius, what's that? A fang tanker, Lucius said. Sleeping, good. We need a different route. You don't want to fight it. Lucius hesitated. If we hit it, it will wake. There's other prey we should hunt first. Vivi raised an eyebrow. Lucius had never backed away from a fight except against the shaman boss. If he said this one was too much, she wouldn't argue. Is that the boss? A Flora Squadron boss, maybe, Lucius said. Leave, Vivi, we're not ready. Vivi nodded and turned to leave. A sudden screech rang out. An elite fangling dashed toward her from the darkness. Panicking, Vivi fired a claw swipe. The attack sliced the fangling in half. The ranged claw blast passed through, tearing webs in its path. And the attack continued forward. It struck the tanker directly in the stomach. Chapter complete. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, and subscribe for more light novel adventures. Tune in for the next chapter.